This is John Gimmick. See, I just finished browsing r/meth when I came across this post on Unique Iron Men, a list of all the Snowflake Iron Men accounts on YouTube, and it got me thinking, if I don't know what I want to do, why don't I just do it all? So I just stole the list, and I've put it onto the spreadsheet, and now we spin the wheel. It's like a never-ending content factory where I don't have to come up with a single original idea. It's perfect. So how exactly is this all going to work? At the start of each episode, we'll roll a random gimmick and a random accessible chunk, and then if the gimmick isn't tied to any one specific activity, we'll complete the current chunk under that rule set, as well as going back and doing any new content from previous chunks. On the other hand, if the gimmick can only be completed in a specific location, and we can't access that location within the current chunks, we'll completely forgo the chunk system for that episode, and any items gathered as a direct result of that gimmick can be brought back to continue using in the chunks. I'm also not here for 1,000-hour grinds every episode, meaning that if a gimmick would take the lifetime of an account ordinarily, it'll only be completed until the next milestone, and then the gimmick will be left on the wheel until all milestones are completed. In total, there are 227 gimmicks to roll, so it's time to get started. But I'm getting ahead of myself, because before we can get to any of that, we have to make it through Tutorial Island, and that comes with a gimmick all of its own. Yeah, there's not a lot of options here. I can't tile man it, I can't region lock it, I can't do combat only, I can't be a pure. There's really only one option, and that's to max. Specifically on Tutorial Island, you can only go up to 3 in any of the trainable skills. Those skills being attack, strength, defense, range, prayer, magic, mining, smithing, fishing, cooking, fire making, which I somehow forgot, and woodcutting. Which may not seem like a lot, but this took me 3 hours of recording. It's mainly the prayer. Prayer's the only thing that takes any time, and that can be mitigated depending on what day and what times you're playing it. Because you'd think something like prayer, it's easy, right? It's just burying bones. Part of the training's fighting rats anyway, you've got to get combat XP somehow. So every rat you kill, bury the bones, easy. The problem is, you actually can't kill any rats with melee. You get to kill 1, and then they kick you out of the pens. You can kill as many as you want with magic later on, but when you're doing it with magic, you can't go back in to pick up the bones. So the only way to do it, and it's kind of funny because we're going to be making an Iron Man, but we have to wait for other people to come through and do their rat training, and from there we can pick up bones from the rats they kill. The problem is, you've got to hop until you find someone doing it. So it was taking me multiple minutes to find a world with 1 person, or 1 or 2 bones. And even when you find someone, it's like a minute and a half until the item appears on the ground. So you'll see them kill the rat, and then you just stood there waiting to get the bones. And let me tell you, a minute and a half feels like a long time when you are doing nothing at all. But other than that, most of the skills were fairly simple. Ranged is similar to melee in that you can't kill any of the rats, but you don't have to hop between them, or at least not so often. You get to shoot each of the rats a couple of times until you've done a total of 2 damage, then move on to the other ones. And because you're not considered in combat, there's no waiting period, which speeds it up massively. The only other one that required a little bit of fancy work was magic, but even then all you have to do is drop trick the runes until you've got about 40 of them, go back and kill the rats with magic from there. There was one other thing I was hoping to do. It says on the wiki that although trading isn't possible on the island, and you can't drop trade, you are able to place an item on a table and have it be collected by another player. I thought it'd be fun to have an item in the bank that we'd gotten off someone else on an Iron Man, but after about 10 minutes of testing, it turns out that's not possible, and the wiki must have some outdated information. So with Tutorial Island completed, we're ready to move on, and spin the wheel to decide this account's fate. So I'll catch you all next time at the Sinclair Mansion, where we'll be completing the chunk in the order that its content was released.